Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you are curious about what this is or you have got a bit lost. I'm Chatty, this is my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, and I'm going to be chatting away madly about all of the books that I read in August. And letting you in on a little secret, brilliant reading month, had the best time. So I'm going to go through the books one by one, have a little bit of chat about my thoughts and opinions. I have no idea what I'm going to say. Generally, not got a clue, made no plans or prep, haven't even opened the books, have probably forgotten so much stuff. So it might be shorter because I will have less memory of things. And we're hitting the waffle. I can feel it bubbling up. So let's quickly just move on and get rid of housekeeping before I hit full-on drivel. So on my channel, if you've not been here before, welcome, thanks for popping in. I do not edit my long videos. It's one continuous shot. One, because saves on editing, hooray. And two, because I talk so much, my videos last an hour and I really can't do that on my only editing tool, which is my phone. I can't cope with such a lengthy thing to deal with. So cheers everyone, here's my little gimmick. It is one shot of tea. Clink, 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 clink. There we go, one shot, no editing. Marvellous. Okay, what on earth did I actually want to say? Yes, so I have, sorry, we're late at night, so we're already hitting the kind of the crazy. I'm feeling very fulfilled because I have slowly moved from the bottom of the house, the kitchen and the lounge, and tidying up the bits and sorting out the stuff and dealing with things I needed to deal with, and slowly moved up to my bedroom where I'm filming this video and can just chill out and enjoy this. And then after that I can just go to bed and not worry about anything. So I'm free to waffle away. And I did have other points rather than blather. Yes, so I'm filming this at the mid to end of September. So it's not a huge amount of time since I've read these, but it still has been a while and I've read other books since. But that does mean that the backlog I had of my books is coming to an end and I should be on target to talk about September books relatively close to September. So this will hopefully be the last vague video. So I'm going to crack on. If you want to know more information about the books I'm talking about, because I don't do a great job of synopsises because I never know how much you want to say. I prefer to talk about like the themes covered and the vibes and sort of the flavour of the book rather than this is what you can expect in the plot. If you need that information, all of the books are in the description box and they have their links to Storygraph where you can go and get that. Plus you can all see all of the trigger warnings should you need that information, and you can see what other people thought of them by looking at the ratings, which is lovely. Probably should have said earlier, if you want to skip the waffle or if you want to skip any books, I do put timestamps in my videos so you can just work your way through them and get the bits you want. So, okay, I feel we're covered. I feel we can crack into the books. And I'm going to start with Gost. But it was not the first book that I read in August. But I'm starting with it because I feel I'm able to talk about it. So, this is a middle grade contemporary book by Jason Reynolds. I have really enjoyed Jason Reynolds' other books. This is the first middle grade I've read from him. So I was quite excited because I love middle grade. So I was like, let's see how this goes. Amazing. Jason Reynolds' contemporary work, the way he builds up characters, the way he builds up empathy, the way he tackles complex issues, really works for me. I feel really involved in the story. And what I love about this series, so this is the first book in the Track Runner series, I believe. Join the Run Club. I don't think it's got any sort of clearer name than that Run Book One. To the Runners. Track Running Club series. And it is about this group of 4 children, and each book covers one of those children. So they all have slightly different events in track running, but it also covers their personal life and the things that they are struggling with. So we get Gost's background story. He's had a traumatic event in his childhood. It goes into that very early on in the book and tells you what that situation is, and it's kind of behind his ability to run. It's just him and his mum, and mum's working a job trying to keep everything ticking away, but there's not a lot of money going around. So Gost is quite poor, which is a factor in how people treat him at school, and how he kind of like feels about life and society and kind of acts. And what is amazing in here is it absolutely shows the importance of youth work. And I know Jason Reynolds is a really big advocate for this because he's mentioned it in some of his other books. He's done a lot of work with teens where they're not given a lot of, what's the word? Stuff in life. There's a word and it's not coming to me. Anyway, advocate for youth teams. And in this, you see a wonderful example of how important something like belonging to a club and having an outlet to be doing something and being a part of a community and someone boosting you and finding something to keep waking up for, you know, something that you can be proud of, something that you can excel at, something you can be part of, is so important for young people. It's so important for everyone, but in particular young people, especially when they're feeling disenfranchised. And I can only speak from my experience, but I know in the UK, when money gets tight, it's the youth services which are cut. And that money has not been put back into those. And it is so important to be doing that. Anyway, I'm moving away from the point here. So I absolutely love the coach. Coach Cranshaw. No. That is not his name. That is Ghost's name. Can't remember the name of the coach because it's been a while. They just call him Coach. He has got another name. Anyway, the coach in this, I find his relationship with Gost so funny. I find him such an amazing adult. Absolute hats off to him. We need more coaches in real life for these situations. What I also found brilliant in this book is how running is spoken about. I am not a runner. I can physically run, but I am not someone who is into running. However, from reading these, it has helped me feel that ability to kind of push through and want to get some endorphins from exercise and want to feel good about something. So I have gone through some mental health stuff recently and grief recently, and kind of then looked into self-care and how I feel I am adulting, and sort of a lot of self-reflection. And one of the things I wanted to do is I want to be feeling more healthy about myself. I do walk a lot everywhere, but I'm not getting that kind of getting your heart beating, like cardio stuff that I feel I would like to be getting to be feeling good about myself. And in a busy life, one of the things that is really simple and easy to do is to just go and run. I mean, my favourite thing would be to go and paddleboard, but that's a lot of effort. So running, easy, trainers on, at the door, off we go. So I have been, not every morning, but I have been trying to run sort of 2 or 3 times a week in the morning, and it kind of fits into my routine. It's just 10 minutes. It's a very easy circuit. It's just something that's sustainable for me, and this has helped me do it. So thank you, Jason Reynolds. Also, after reading this, I thought that because we've really been enjoying watching the Olympics and the Paralympics and just appreciating the ability of humans to just try and excel in their event and just trying to be the best they can be and supporting their team and just generally just supporting humanity and just enjoying watching people achieve amazing things. There's just such a appreciation of everyone. Yes, everyone's on different teams. Yes, everyone wants to win, but you just really see this camaraderie for everyone to do well, which is so lovely. So I got my son to read this because he was really enjoying the athletics. I got my son to read this because I thought he would enjoy it. Also, I'm trying to get him to branch out from reading other things. So I wanted him to like maybe try a contemporary and things like that, and also starting to read books where there are sort of harder hitting social issues, because I think that's important for him to experience and to kind of understand lives as a people live. And he loved it. So we both also read Patina, which is the second book. I didn't intend to read Patina, but I finished Gost and went, I need Patina. I'm also aware I do want the other ones, but we've chosen not to get them out of the library because my son has gone, can I own them? Can I have the set? So that's on his Christmas list. So that's great because I'm not buying the books for me, I'm buying it for my child, so doesn't count, but I will be reading them. And there's part of me that's going, should I just get them from the library anyway so I can read, but I'm gonna wait, I think, I'm not sure. So there are 2 other books. There is also Sunny and Lou, and each of these cover a different track event. So Gost is a sprinter, so it talks about that. We then have Patina, and I really love the dedication at the beginning of Patina's book that says, yeah, this says Run Book 2, so I think it must be the Run series. For those who've been passed the baton too young. And I just think that's a really beautiful statement, because Patina has sort of caring responsibilities. She's putting herself into adult roles, even though she doesn't need to. There's still like that part of her that feels like she wants to. There's a lots of complexities around her home life and her school life, and it was really lovely to read about them. And what's really fun in this one is you get relay races. So that, I really enjoyed all of that and kind of the training aspect, and I know my son really appreciated it. And what was really lovely was, after reading these, he then had a really lovely discussion with me about how he felt uncomfortable when they were speaking about skin colour. And so we had this really interesting conversations about how, yes, as privileged white people, we don't talk about skin colour, we don't focus on skin colour, but it's something that when Black, Indigenous people of colour are made to feel othered, it's very important. I presume I'm talking... I may be saying this really wrong, so please correct me in the comments, but we had this really nice chat about how important it is for those communities to be able to talk about how they're treated because of the colour of their skin, how they're able to own it, how they're able to talk about what makes them beautiful, what makes them important, and they can have jokes and discussions and bonding over things like that, because it helps them face the world when there is prejudice and things. We then went off on a tangent and we got to be looking at... I'd got a husband book about racism, so then we were looking at that, and he was quite shocked about some of the things where they spoke about white privilege, that you're not going to come across like a police officer or a teacher who may treat you differently because of your skin colour. And he's like, does that happen? Does that happen? I can understand the other ones, but I don't think that's a thing. I was like, sweetheart, that is a thing. That is a thing. So we had a great discussion about it. So again, importance of reading and how amazing it can be to kind of like go outside your comfort zone and be experiencing life. So all my parenting joys were hit there, as well as these stories being amazing. Really love Gost, really love Patina, and I just found the heartwarming stories. I got very emotional in these. I just think Jason Reynolds is a fantastic writer. So yeah, I highly recommend these if you enjoy middle grade, and definitely highly recommend for to be reading with your children and to be using them to talk about discussions. And obviously you've got great representation in here for anyone who is Black or in any way feels othered, that like the resilience and the strength that people have, and also that you shouldn't have to feel like that. So yeah, really enjoyed these. Okay, moving on to talk about a book that another library book that I was finishing off from July. I did start it in July, but finished off in August, and that is The Old Woman with the Knife by Gu Byung-mo, and it's translated by Chi Yong Kim. There was a lot of things that I appreciated in here, but it wasn't really a book that worked for me. I think I was wanting different things from it. So I loved the first chapter, but that's kind of as much as I got. I loved the first chapter. I love this kind of whole idea of misjudging someone and having expectations about a person and them doing something completely unexpected. And I was fascinated about the kind of like the day-to-day workings of how our protagonist went about her job and her business, and I really enjoyed some of the representation to do with age in here. I particularly found there were some really nice moments where she kind of compared like aging to sort of like it wasn't explicitly done, it was very kind of like just symbolic and put in there, but how these lovely peaches that she bought, they had become sort of like rotten because she'd ignored them and she just left them, and comparing that to kind of like human aging. I enjoyed all of that. I just didn't really connect with the character and get an emotional response to our protagonist or understand the plot exactly, in that I just couldn't get excited about it. So apart from the commentary on how people treat you as sort of like how people treat you as someone aging, I didn't really get a lot more from this book, which is a shame. I think it just didn't I just missed that emotional connection. I missed the emotional connection, and I kind of the backstory, it started off by being intriguing, but then it just kind of fizzled for me and just fell a bit flat. It didn't tell me anything apart from the first kind of instances of like where she came from and then how she came into this life. It didn't really tell me anything that I couldn't have kind of guessed about how she ended up where she did, and the plot line for the other character and kind of where they came from. I enjoyed the revealy bits and connections, but again, I still didn't quite get the motivation. So I still don't understand what your issue is here. And I thought the beginning really kind of touched on presuming things about people and the way people are treated. But then that kind of didn't really go any further as we went on from this. And I didn't quite feel the point by the end. I couldn't quite work out, she's still going, she's not going. Where is this? It went over my head. But I did have a lovely time reading this and chatting with people on Jaleesa's channel, in Jaleesa's Discord, and I think we all there was similar opinions, like that we were just like, where's this gone? we've got a bit lost along the way here. But if you're someone that really enjoys like thrillers, or you enjoy, I don't know, it's not really a coming of age story, like a character study, but not really. I don't know if you enjoy books. I don't know who this is aimed at. I'm sorry. Maybe someone who's a bit more literary fiction. Maybe there's something I'm missing because I'm not a literary fiction reader. So I don't know. I'm sorry. But yeah, it was fine, but it didn't really do anything for me, and I'm probably going to forget it, which is a shame, but hey ho. Okay, I'm going to come on to the book that I first read in August, that pretty much as soon as August came around, I was like, just going to pause everything that I'm doing, just read this one, because I really want to, and I feel like the time is right, so I'm just going to read that book in that perfect reading moment that sometimes is elusive, but I feel is here now, and that is The Trouble with Mrs Montgomery Hurst by Katie Lumsden. First of all, I'm going to say go and watch the Should You Read This Book by Jack, which I will link here, because Jack is really great at looking at books and not giving away plot or anything, but giving you a taste of why you might like it and why you should be interested. And I can't really echo anything better than what she's already said, so I'm just going to go see Jack's video. If you're not sure whether or not to pick up this book, because I think she explains it really, really well. And I do think you should pick up this book. I really, really do. So this is a historical fiction, but in my head, I'm like, this is a classic, because it feels so much like the classic books that I really love. What I love most about Austen is the small village community and that social commentary and the social comedy aspect of it all, and all of those kind of like character studies within it. You also get that a lot in some Bronte some Bronte books. But I'm thinking mainly of Wildfell Hall, like in the beginning bits where you're introduced to Helen Graham, and there's that like really close village community where everyone knows everyone's business, and you've got that whole cast of characters, like that kind of thing. And then you've also got Elizabeth Gaskell, and not quite as gritty, but like I know Dickens will sometimes give you a huge cast of characters sort of within things, but like mainly Austen and Gaskell. If you enjoy that kind of feeling, you will really enjoy this book. But also there are so many themes that Katie covers in here, which I appreciated so much. Just an exploration of like the character arcs that went on in here and how they kind of changed and how you saw like the driving forces between it. And just like at the beginning, like you're like, oh, who are all these people? She does a cast list. It's marvelous. I was referring to it quite a bit. And you get the snobbery, you get the classism, you get this kind of status versus financial abilities. All of those things are explored. And also people's own like character abilities as well, like they're sort of going on that journey of a bit of self-reflection of like, oh, did I maybe not do the right thing there? Maybe I should look at myself and change my behavior a bit, like those kind of situations. And there's certain avenues you think it might go down and you're a little bit worried about it, and then it doesn't go down those avenues, or conversations are had and things are dealt with. And I just really, really appreciated all of that. There were so many fantastic characters in here that I immediately enjoyed. Let's see if I can find a few without giving things away. Where is the character list? So first of all, like one of the protagonists is Miss Amelia Ashpoint. She is the daughter of a brewery owner. So she is not of like a gentry status, but they have come into the gentry through their financial growth and certain connections. And it's what's really great is that she's then, because of that, she gets to kind of interact with those of a higher class, but also she interacts a lot with those of a lower class. So you get that kind of mixture, and she has lots of opinions on the way people are treated, and it's very enjoyable. One of the people I really enjoyed was Lady Rebecca Hammersmith, who you don't meet that much. She is a widow. She is clearly suffering from some sort of physical disability. I don't know if it's chronic pain, it's not mentioned, but I thought that representation was done beautifully. Loved her. So again, minor character, but so much fun. I also really enjoyed, I don't like them, but I had so much fun reading about Mrs Sophronia Elton and her daughter Miss Felicia Elton. Their character arcs and different things were so much fun because snobbery of the snobs is very much their vibe. And then you've got some like wonderful like gossipy people and things that all come into it. It's just absolutely delightful. We also have some queer representation in here, which is wonderful to see. There was so much kind of heart in people's different relationships in this book. So friendships, romantic ones, relationships between brother and sister, relationships between parents. Like I got all the ships. All the ships came into my harbour and I loved it all. I could not stop reading this. It was just so enthralling. I just needed to know. I didn't want to stop my time in, when I get the name right, I think it's Wickenshire. Please tell me. Wickenshire, it is Wickenshire. I didn't want to leave Wickenshire. I wanted to stay with these characters. I wanted to see what happened to them. I loved that this was a really nice thick book and I got to spend as much time with them as possible. And you got that emotional payoff. You got those arcs. You got that journey because of all that wonderful slow burn stuff happening. But it's so much fun because all these characters are so vibrant. They're so alive. So although it very much has that Austen and Gaskell-esque feel to it, and of all, I'm not a huge reader of all of them, but I have certainly read a lot of books that are always said to be in the style of Austen or the new Austen, This is the only one that is true for. Katie Lumsden is the only one that I would say genuinely that is the case for. The witticism, I've already mentioned it, the social comedy is all in here, but you very much get Katie's voice coming through. Like, it's a very original voice. You can appreciate it. I loved the chaos of getting ready. I loved all the messy details like that, and her knowledge of the time period, all of the research that she's done, how if you go on her channel, you know she loves her historical fiction, she loves her classics, she is so well read, and all of those layers that she has developed as a reader have absolutely paid off as a writer. It is incredible. I want everyone to read this. I want this book to get more attention. Not just because I want it for Katie, I just want it for the book because everyone should experience it. And I just think this book is incredible. I love it. I love it. And I was so happy that when my parents came to stay at my house and I showed them the book, my dad was like, oh, that sounds interesting. My dad does enjoy historical fiction, wartime fiction, and he loves a female protagonist. I don't share his taste in books. I find them a bit samey, but I was like, you will like this one. And he did. I think it's a lot better standard because I'm being snobby than what he usually reads. But Mum was sending me photographs. They house sat while we went away on holiday and they looked after our guinea pigs. Mum kept sending me photos of Dad enjoying the book. And I was like, are you making sure he's looking after it? She's like, don't worry, I'm observing him. He is not allowed to do anything but put a bookmark in it. He's not allowed to crack the spine. So my dad read this and absolutely loved it, and I will be buying him the paperback copy. He thought it was brilliant. Anyway, I've gushed enough. I think you've got the gist. I could go more into it with spoilers, but I will absolutely be rereading this, so I will save that for when I reread it. This is a favourite. I love it so much. I can't express to you how much joy this gave me. So much joy. So if you love Austen, if you love a historical fiction set in Regency period and you love characters and you love that social commentary, you will love this. Get it now. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know what the last bit was, but it felt like I needed to say it. Right, moving on to an actual reread now. I have my reread for Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. So I'm doing the Amari-along and I'm being joined by Tiffany from Towering TBR, and we are rereading the first two books and realising that we have forgotten so much stuff that happened in them, which, as Tiffany points out, is quite delightful because then it's like we're reading it fresh and it's surprising. There were certain things I remembered. I remembered randomly, I remembered a mission that they went on that was a small minor mission, but the actual climax and certain key plot points, I couldn't remember what happened. I couldn't remember the outcome of the Great. Sorry, I need to burp. Pardon me. I couldn't remember the outcome of the Great Game. I couldn't remember the outcome of what was happening politically. So I was quite shocked by the end of this book, which was amazing. I love this book. For me, it gave me the same feelings that I got from the first Amari and the Night Brothers. I have since discovered this is not an opinion that everyone shares. Some people just did not quite enjoy some of the aspects of the story, but it all really, really worked for me. I felt there was that same tension and drama, but the pressure on Amari is so much more. I like seeing her abilities grow. I like the new friendships and relationships. I felt they were very truthful. I think there was a lot of time for things to be developed, things to be changed. I felt there was enough time that things happened realistically and at that moment. And I'm not saying anymore because I don't want to give away spoilers. But you got to see a bit more of expansion of the world. You got to both within the Bureau and outside the Bureau and different types of magics. And I am going to give a shout out to some of my favourite characters in here. They're side characters, but it's Mrs Walters. I love Mrs Walters. Mrs Walters is really special. That whole chapter at the beginning with Amari's neighbour Mrs Walters and her connection to the world was the whimsy and joy that I have from middle grade fantasy. And it's the same kind of delight and ridiculous that I get from reading Pratchett's Discworld. It's just pure joy. So yeah, I had an amazing time with my reread. It got me so hyped for reading Amari and the Despicable Wonders, which you will see in September, in my September wrap-up, which I have since read. And I have no idea when this video is going up. It's not going up before I do the live, but there's a live of me talking, I hope, unless something disastrous happens before then. I mean, you'll know before I do, because you're watching this in the future, and I'm basically talking in the past, which is interesting. There's a live. There may be a live. There should be a live. There's an intention to be a live discussing my thoughts on the Despicable Wonders, which has recently been released and is the third book, the most recent one. But there are going to be 5. There's going to be 5 Amari books, and it's thrilling. I'm going to stop gushing now. Okay, I'm now moving on to 3 books that I took with me on holiday and I read on holiday, and it was brilliant. I had such a lovely time reading these books. They gave me all the joy, and I just felt really privileged to be reading books on holiday. It was great. So the first one I have to talk to you about is Alexis Hall's Paris Dalincourt is About to Crumble. Now, this is a contemporary romance. It is a male-male romance, and it is actually the second book in a series of companion novels. It's called the Winner Bakes All series. So there is a show called Bake Expectations, which is genius, and is based off a very popular British baking show, which you may or may not read between the lines of. And this was just delightful. On one hand, delightful fun. On the other hand, really serious explorations of mental health and what's the word? Not full on sort of like racism and Islamophobia, but the way some people might react to certain choices that you make. I think it was a really good look. Again, I am not a fully fledged member of this community. I'm only going off my understanding from what I've heard from other people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community, particularly gay men. I'm only going off what I've heard from them and from my what I've read from reading people's stories, that the kind of difficulties and expectations of dating and hooking up as a gay man. I thought all of that was touched on was really beautiful. I think there's some really positive looks and explorations at communication and relationships. I love a book about a healthy relationship. That makes me really, really happy. I also need I need to have a connection to that character. I don't read a lot of romance. This is on the same page as Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Beyond that, I can't think of any book that is pure romance without another subplot, adult one, that I love. Contemporary romance. So yeah, this really worked for me. So I think what works for me is 1, emotional connection to the characters, 2, to be exploring some kind of like the characters exploring some kind of like personal issues that they have that isn't solved by being in the relationship, that they need to deal with and be supported with, but also do healthy communication with. That is what I love. That is what makes me so happy. I loved Alexis Hall's writing with this. Before you get to the end, there were moments when I felt a little bit uncomfortable, but all issues that kind of are brought up for a purpose. They are dealt with. So keep going. Trust Alexis Hall. I want to read much more Alexis Hall books. I think it was brilliant. I'm going to go into mild spoilers, just in terms of content warnings and just a bit more information of whether or not you feel you would like to pick this book up. Okay, so don't want to hear, skip ahead, use the timestamps to move on to the next book. So in this book, there is a lot of exploration of mental health. And it's very undiagnosed at the beginning. It feels really painful. It made me feel really emotional. So just be aware of those triggers. I think there was a really nice, so Alexis Hall gives content guidance at the beginning, which I think is really good. Main character with an undiagnosed anxiety disorder that does get diagnosed, on-page panic attack, hospital stay due to panic attack, treatment plan for anxiety disorder discussed, emotional unavailability of parents, very graphic swearing, cyberbullying, religious and racial microaggressions, Islamophobia that is challenged. So yeah, all of that is explored and I think done really well. Again, I am not someone who is, as well as not being part of the LGBTQ plus community, I am not Muslim. I'm white, so I can't comment on whether or not this was portrayed authentically beyond my own opinion. So in my opinion, I thought it was done really well, but obviously take that with a pinch of salt because I don't have this lived experience. All I can do is tell you how I found it. So please do, if you're interested, please go and find other people who have read this book that can speak on more authority and in their personal opinion as to whether or not it was a good portrayal. But I absolutely rooted for this couple in here. I found them adorable. And I just found what I really loved is how realistic everything is. Not everything can be resolved, but steps are in place. I also love the character arcs, like they both grew, they were both reflective on themselves. The relationship and how it was discussed I thought was done beautifully. And again, I'm definitely going to reread this again. I just thought it was lovely. Next, I finally read The Undertakers by Nicole Glover. So this is the second book in the Murder and Magic series, currently a duology, and this follows on directly from The Conductors. There is a new book that is going to be released in November, but it is set, it's still within this world, so it's still got this magic system and this history, but it is set in the 1920s or 30s, and it is about a descendant. So depending how you think about the series, you probably could say this is duology and leave it there, but there will be more books in this world. Anyway, we continue to follow our protagonist, and she's gone through a lot in the last book. There's been some changes, but there are still some kind of emotional unfinished things that she needs, not clarity, like when you tie it all off. I nearly had it. Conclusion, but not that. The word may come, but hopefully you understand what I mean. So elusive. Come back, word. No, it's still going. I can feel it. I can feel it just there, but it keeps swimming away from me. Anyway, she like some kind of resolution on those things. There were moments in here that I found really confusing in terms of the friendship group, but it is explored and those feelings are dealt with. And I think basically it's a society where there's a found family, but there's a lot of baggage. There's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of grief that is still being explored, that is still being looked into, and everyone is kind of just doing the best they can. I really enjoy this little gang, this found family. I find them really likeable. I have a good time hanging out with them all. It's so much fun. It's a lot of fun. It's exhausting because often like you think about all the stuff they're doing and I'm like, if you've still not gone to bed, where are you going now? So if you're someone that needs that kind of level of realism and you need a bit more breathing space, then maybe you will find that slightly difficult. But I was just I was just like, I'm going with it. I'm going with everything you're throwing at me. There's a lot of fast-paced action, but there is still a lot of time for emotional beats, and for characters to kind of have those conversations and that relationship exploration. Again, we do get some past scenes referring back to when they were conductors on the Underground Railroad, and some of the near misses and some of the people they rescued that have then an impact on the future storyline, and all of it kind of like comes together. It's just a lot of fun. So if you enjoy kind of action adventure in a historical setting with magic, you'll enjoy this. And there's a mystery element to it as well, but I don't feel it's one where it's like a whodunit, you need to kind of like go through it. It's like it's a mystery, but it's more of like an action based one, if that makes sense. But I just really love the characters in here, and I really just enjoy the ride that Nicole Glover takes us on, and I just have a great time with these books. I think they're so much fun, and there are some like serious moments as well in here, and I think it's a really just enjoyable area of history to read about. It really interests me, this one, and I want to read as many different voices within it as I can. And finally, that brings me on to the last book that I read in August, but certainly not the least. I have continued with the Daevabad trilogy and have read the second book, The Kingdom of Copper, by S.A. Chakraborty. This is an adult epic fantasy, and I'm having the best time. All the promises that I was given about how amazing this series is, yes, they are all here. This is a very political story. I knew that going in, so I was very excited about it. And we follow the 3 characters that we were following in the first book, and continuing their journeys and where they've gone from there, and just thinking about the arcs they've been on, the changes they've undergone. And this is definitely a series I'm going to be rereading, and very much kind of enjoying like where they start and where they've gone back to. And it's I think S.A. Chakraborty's done a really good job of that. We continue to get like the different conflicts between all the different political factions, and I think there's a real wonderful exploration of this kind of revenge trope, and this how to move on from that, how to break that cycle, because it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, we hurt you, so you hurt us, so we hurt you, so you hurt us. And I think it's explored really well in here. It did give me things I wasn't expecting. So there were certain characters that my opinions on them changed as we were reading, which was amazing. I loved all of that. There was twists and turns in it. There was so many strong moments from the people I really enjoy in here, and I love the ride that you're taken on. It feels so rich, like the world building, the history of the place, how just like years of pain and hurt and trying to work out the best thing to do, and all the difficulties to try and best manage the situation. I just thought they were brilliantly done, and I can't wait to keep reading. I'm just having the best time with this. And again, I think it's going to be one that on a reread, I'm lisping away, on a reread, I think I'd be able to go into a little bit more about like certain aspects I've enjoyed, and be able to kind of give you the time to talk about which bits really got me, and kind of do a bit more of a spoilery version, whereas this is a very brief kind of summary of just like my emotional response to it, but I feel we spent enough time, and I don't think I have any ability to talk about the complexities of it. It's so vast, there's so much in here, but I'm loving it. Okay, that is everything I read in August, and I had so much fun. Like, it was just a really brilliant reading month. I'm just loved all the books I was reading. It was so good. So yeah, choosing a favourite in my stats video is going to be really fun. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Please get chatty in the comments. Tell me, have you read any of these? Do any of these sound exciting for you? And what was your favourite book that you read in August? Or what was a book that you did not enjoy that you read in August? Happy reading, everyone!